Oh my god, SpongeBob's getting on Death Battle? I've said it a lot of times this season already, but this is easily the most excited I've been for an episode since Saitama vs. Popeye. They outshined my hype for one of my favourite film trilogies being used, them tapping into a new medium, even the episode that paid off a several year-long bet in my friend group. How did they top that already? God, I'm so excited. Alright, Trunks vs. Silver also happened. I don't want to make it seem like I didn't like this episode, that couldn't be farther from the truth. This is just a similar case to Madara vs. Aizen. It's a banger episode that gets vastly overshadowed by my excitement for the next time. I want to give this episode its due credit though, so let's get into that. For the analysis, the comedy was a mixed bag. Silver's rundown was hit or miss, Trunks's was mostly just misses, honestly. I didn't find that many jokes funny. Silver's picked up the slack a little bit with a few chuckles here and there, and a fun running joke with Boomstick freaking out over Sonic and Spawn crossing over, which Wiz even feels the need to bring up in the conclusion for Boomstick's sake, and I like that. A lot of the rest of the jokes weren't doing much for me. It felt like they went a bit too much into just references at some points. In spite of that, the analyses still managed to be really entertaining. Trunks has covered a lot of the heroes in Xenoverse extended material. It was a breath of fresh air from other Dragon Ball rundowns, which kinda started blending together at a point. They do bring up the universe shockwaves here though, which I don't mind actually, because at this point I have to imagine it's being done tongue-in-cheek. Also, Super Saiyan Rage is never vocally brought up, it's only relegated to a sidebar, and I couldn't be happier. Other than that, Trunks' rundown still managed to be really entertaining. Yet I still liked Silver's a good bit more. I mentioned the generally better track record with the jokes already, but I just found the coverage of his story and personality more interesting than with Trunks. There's probably not much difference between them, but the standout stuff to me in Trunks' rundown was more to do with the overall hero's canon, while I remember more stuff in Silver's about his own personal journey. Both cutaways were also thankfully solid, and it was nice seeing Jocelyn again. Only thing I can say felt a little off to me was that some stuff kinda came across as damage control for the verdict. Like, Trunks' opens on, "Come on, we all know he's the coolest guy ever," whereas Silver gets a way less exciting sounding introduction. Same goes with Boomstick's reaction to the verdict, just saying Trunks was cooler very blatantly. It doesn't detract much, I just think it's kind of funny to point out, and it's nowhere near as egregious as it was in Goku vs Superman 2. So the analysis is pretty good, not much more to say there. And the animation, as is to be expected for a Dragon Ball episode, is really damn solid. The setup fits the characters well enough. Trunks is going after Silver trying to arrest him for time traveling, and it doesn't quite start in media res, since we do see what seems to be the first attack thrown. The start isn't really up to that much. It's a little slow at points, and it does have a bit of stiffness with Trunks' sprite rig, but it's still not bad. The choreography is solid with Trunks trying to get in close while Silver tries to chuck rocks. I really like Trunks chopping this skyscraper apart as well, and the warp ring shot has apparently been memed, which I'm not that familiar with, but it was a cool way to change up the set piece without having them uncharacteristically nuke a city. The effects on Silver redirecting this Masenko were real nice, and I like the giant 3D rock that he sends at Trunks. It's a little strange that they show Trunks flying up and then he's a lot closer to the ground the next time he shows up. I got a little confused for a sec my first time around because I couldn't see where Trunks was meant to be when he stopped the rock, but the scene itself is still cool. The Super Saiyan transformation is pretty good. It makes a decent impression by casually chucking the rock right back at Silver. I think the Super Silver transformation is a little underwhelming visually, but I guess it makes sense that he powers up in direct response to Trunks doing the same, and I like the delivery of his scream a lot. In fact, the voice performances in this episode overall are really good. Scott Kaiser and Echo Frericks does excellent as Trunks. I love his performance in Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and I think he sells Xeno Trunks just as well as his canon counterpart. I use that word very loosely. A couple of lines like the Masenko and Gallic Gun sounded a little lower energy to me at first, but I think they've grown on me a bit. My favourite line delivery of his is at the end. I love the "this is the end of your future" line. Silver, on the other hand, is voiced by Asu Onsti. Call it a hunch, but I don't think it matters how I pronounce that one. Don't read too deep into it. He sounds remarkably close to Silver's official VA. Fancy that. His lines have the kind of dorky awkwardness I'd expect of Silver. Like, normally I'd find the bit of, "oh, I don't think we're in Morbius anymore" groan-worthy. It's a very lame line, but that's exactly why it works so well, because it's Silver who's delivering it. I'm fine with him having uncool lines, because coming from him, they're actually charming and endearing. The lameness of another line that doesn't work for me though, I'm sorry, but I don't like the "it's no use" bit. Silver canonically hates that line. I was kinda hoping they'd have Trunks say it and Silver would get annoyed. That could have been a fun interaction. And then Trunks calls Super Silver a ripoff. Wow, that's a very cool and unique line that hasn't been done better in 2 other episodes or in every analysis where Supersonic or Shadow have shown up. If this was the first time it had happened, then sure, but it's kinda lost its luster. It's not like the Sayonara bit in Shadow's episodes where the third time gave it a proper payoff. In fact, I'd argue Shadow vs. Ryuko had a better payoff for this line as well. I do like Trunks kicking Silver in the back of the head though, that was a fun reference that didn't feel intrusive. That takes the fight to space where not only do we get to see the Randy vs. Cooley constellation in the background, which made me really happy to see, but Silver starts tearing the moon apart to use as ammo, and it's really damn cool. Trunks also gets an abridged reference to respond to it, and that made me happy as well. I like Trunks doing the funny gacha roll and just having to settle with what he got. You can even see Oolong floating away in the background, that's amazing. Silver redirecting these energy blasts has some really nice effects, which is admittedly just very solid across the board in general this episode. And the Super Saiyan God transformation is so damn sick. Him powering through the blast and then decking the surprise Silver in the face is one of the best Dragon Ball transformations we've had on the show in a while. It makes me especially happy that this is Trunks' strongest form he uses in the fight because I actually like the red-haired god form. Get absolutely shat on Super Saiyan Rage. The following rushdown is solid, and Trunks gets a parallel to Vegeta's final flash, which is admittedly weaker because it doesn't have Lanny screaming like his life depended on it, though I do prefer the look of this one since I like how it turns red in the middle. Then Trunks brings out the key sword, and from this point on we get most of the best stuff in the fight. Silver flickering in and out of Super as time glitches around him is really effective at making me second guess who's gonna win. Same can be said for the Magic Crystal dimension with a bunch of references in it, ones that I cannot be bothered to go find. And I like that they get there by using their time stopping stuff simultaneously. Then we get my favourite lines for both of them. I mentioned Trunks's already, though I only mentioned one contender for Silver's. The Morbius bit fits him being a dork, but I also really like the second incorporation of "it's no use." I still think it would have worked better if Trunks said it first and Silver turned the line around on him out of frustration, but what we got actually manages to make it sound cool somehow. I really like when they can do that with lines that are inherently the least cool thing ever. What follows it is a really creative and clever kill with Silver teleporting Trunks' own sword to fly in and hit him, causing him to glitch out of reality, which seems to be a trend for Archie Sonic episodes. Then Silver goes home and looks over the horizon. He stays silent, which is a bit of a shame, but it's not that bothersome, it's still a cool shot. Conclusion's also really good. I still don't like how handholdy it is. Like, for God's sake, I get making the loser still seem capable, but with Dragon Ball it feels more like a safety harness with the lengths they go to. But otherwise the explanation is in depth, covers as many bases as possible, makes Flash vs. Archie Sonic's conclusion look way worse in comparison. I like it. So that was about everything that happened in the episode, but there are a few overarching positives I want to bring up. The first of which is the track. I like Hedge of Tomorrow a lot. It feels like a fitting blend of Dragon Ball instrumentation with the vocals of a Sonic song, if that makes sense. Don't know how else to describe it really. It's catchy, it has a lot of energy to it, and the vocals are incredibly well done, even if I'm not into the more screechy or guttural portions. I can see myself listening to this more and more over time. Not as much as Princess of Pride probably, but that track is peak, so that doesn't matter. The final thing I gotta mention is the sprite work. God damn, Origin the PogChamp went all in on these Trunks sprites. In spite of the unfortunate stylistic clash they have with the Silver sprites, I think they look incredible, and the contrast never bothered me that much given how little time they spend directly next to each other, mainly focusing on their ranged attacks. The rig does have a bit of jank at the start, but even the worst of it's way better than a lot of what Season 7 had, and it's only really an issue at the start. Everything after the preview looks top notch, which does include the effects. I can't say it enough, the effects are really nice. And with that, I've said about everything I wanted to say on this one. Overall, I think Trunks vs. Silver is a very good episode. I'd say it's fairly comparable to our other Dragon Ball episode this season. Which one of them do I prefer? Honestly, right now, I couldn't make a call. Both have good analyses, but what I get out of their fights differs a lot. They both have issues, with Trunks vs. Silver being a more consistently fun package, while Thor vs. Vegeta has that ending that blows everything in Trunks vs. Silver out of the water. I'll leave that decision for later when I rank the season once it's done. For now, this is a solid 7 out of 10 to me, which might seem a bit low, especially with how many 8s and higher I've given this season, but I still consider a 7 well above average. It's a lot of fun, just not a personal favourite of mine. And next time, well, I've said my piece on SpongeBob already, except for how I'd somehow predicted this episode. I don't know, that was just a lucky shot in the dark. And they're using a specific Aquaman that I'm actually interested to learn about. I would be even happier if this usurped Omnilander as my favourite of the season than I would have been if Adam vs. Apocalypse had somehow done it. That is how much stake I have in this episode. Anyway, that about does it for now, so I'll sign off and leave you all to watch the reaction highlights. Hopefully you enjoyed those, go watch Nem's review, see you all later.
Let's go! Go get him, Silver!
Let's go!
Let's get him, Silver! I hate Xeno Trunks.
Alright.
Oh,
Like,
even
Silver's
Gigi's
better
excited.
win.
Aren't you excited?
I was so afraid because my mouse was like desynced and I almost clicked at the very end of the timeline. We would have seen SpongeBob like way
Yeah,
earlier
we
than we were
were
supposed
SpongeBob
to.
versus Luffy get revealed.
SpongeBob versus Luffy.
You say SpongeBob versus Luffy? Please say you're joking.
Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm betting on, baby.
if my tweet is correct, I am expecting so many people to send me the Doctor Strange gif. That is not a request, that's a threat.
Ooh, Trunks is the coolest. He is the coolest Dragon Ball
Trunks
character.
is, in fact, the coolest.
I don't disagree.
Like he had that
Ah!
one
I can't
Launch
believe
exists.
they're just brushing past me.
Launch?
I can't believe
You
it.
said launch? DJ.
Well, that's a L.
DJ.
Launch is cooler than Trunks. I'm not saying Launch is the coolest character, but I'm saying Launch is cooler than Trunks.
You need help.
Oh, it's okay to be Wong T here.
Okay, green hair dye.
Yo, Larry, wait, who are they
Oh, I never
analyzing
had
right
that one
now?
before. Did you come up with that with yourself?
It's gonna be Garfield
That's
versus
the
Chowder.
difference a member of that.
Yeah, I
Oh
love
my
time.
god.
The Time Patrol.
It's time patrol.
I hate Super Saiyan.
I gotta go
3,
back
I
in
hate
time
it.
and stop the phone exchange.
There you go, there's your
That
Chrono Trigger
that,
fix on
that was rubbing salt in the wound. My ass being like, maybe I'll get Chrono Trigger. No, just get him during Trunks' analysis.
No, Super Saiyan Rage is included. No.
Haha.
The actual worst form in Dragon Ball. That's
It's
crazy.
actually the fucking worst.
God, I'm loving all of the Xenoverse footage.
Digimon?
What the fuck?
This is really interesting, actually.
Okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
It's only interesting because it's a fucking card game and Brandon
Yeah.
loves those.
Yeah, I love card
It's
games.
more hilarious than it is interesting to me.
Oh, that's the type of edits they're gonna do in season 10. We get Ash vs. Yugi. Okay, this is my favorite analysis. They're just talking about TCG stuff. This is my favorite.
They better do this with Yu-Gi-Oh! Too. Or I swear to God.
Kaiba! Oh, this is the best analysis of the season.
Alright, yeah, we're gonna get Ash versus Yugi.
I don't know why Kaiba appearing made me happy. I hope it makes them happy.
You better win with a card.
Magic Crystal.
Yes!
Oh shit! Silver! Get out of there!
This is,
Get out of there, Silver!
that was the Batman dimension.
Woo! Yes,
Oh,
universe
no.
fight!
Yeah, sorry, Silver. Hi, Silver.
Look, he has a chance, guys. Don't give up hope.
Silver,
Nah, drop it.
Technically, if they scale Super...
giving up on him like this.
I am sick of seeing this
Well,
PNG
actually,
of the DBZ verse. 3DS.
Yeah, it's you. You did these feats, guys. You did this.
It's me.
It's Matt. I mean, this is like this is casual stuff for Max.
We're all
Shut the
multiverse.
fuck up! I'm not supposed to make it in the reactions.
That's going in.
Now. Max is more than multiversal.
Shut up!
He's just too strong.
Got it, Tron.
All right, Silver. Let's see what you got.
I
He's got this. He's got this. He got this. I believe in him.
I'm on Silver's side. Let's go Silver.
He's from the planet of Morbius, so I can't not root for him.
Silver to win because it'll be funny.
The contrast.
Yeah.
I will say. The contrast in how they're talking about both feels a little one-sided.
Silver.
Yeah.
Which is gonna feel worse. Which is gonna feel worse if Silver does
Apparently,
lose.
Ben actually likes Archie Silver unlike regular Silver. So,
In the cast, you mentioned he liked them.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. It's just Trunks is so fucking awesome and dope, and he's the best character. While
I
Silver's
don't
is.
know. Sounds a little like damage control. We'll see.
Why are all these panels super fucking dark?
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks really
Why does Vector
desaturated.
look so fucking evil?
I think is that an intentional art style choice?
I think that.
I'm pretty sure it's an art style
It's art
choice.
style,
It
yeah,
just
they're
is super dark.
IDW
Archie
is much
takes itself really
brighter
seriously.
than Archie was.
I imagine Silver's arcs are some of the darker ones just because of what he is.
The Chaos Emeralds are also magic crystals.
Oh, no.
Imagine not putting the footage of Shadow kicking him in the back of his head.
Well, that'd be weird in
it's-
Silver's analysis. If you just get
Yeah,
his ass
probably.
kicked.
If Silver loses, I want him to die by a roundhouse kick, please. That's all I ask.
A roundhouse kick to the back of the head.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Now hang on. Hang on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elaborate.
Rita?
Elaborate.
Oh, it's the guy.
I'll be honest. Like some of the jokes aren't really like doing it for me, but this is a super entertaining analysis
Yeah.
because of how much
Yeah.
you're reaching.
There's the guy who's gonna fight Demi. I'm sorry.
There was no slapstick. What was the point of the cutaway gag?
Yeah, what was the point? There's no slapstick.
That's cute.
Ew, Infinite, get the fuck out.
Oh, okay, okay. They're saying that he's badass. That's cool.
I'm curious why this stuff wasn't brought up for him against Wally. It wouldn't have changed anything, but
The entire multiverse.
I think this.
Okay,
episode is
okay. Silver might be able to win. Actually.
I'm gonna go get
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for Silver.
Aw, look at him! Look, he's a cute little dog.
Come on,
Okay.
Chubbs, I
Wow.
believe in you.
Wow.
Let's go,
I actually
Silver!
I have no
Please,
idea.
Silver.
I have no idea.
Come on,
Here we go,
Chubbs, I
guys.
believe in you.
Let's go,
I got this,
Silver.
buddy.
Trunk
I am
to drain end.
Come on,
I am
Silver.
so interested. Holy shit.
I want to hear their reasoning now.
Who will win? Funny little
I've
head
listened to the
shot.
track.
Larry Skinny.
I usually have a pretty good guess, but I don't know. I have no idea right now. They made a Sonic vs. Dragon Ball episode interesting.
Yeah, you're a little
That's
season
happening.
9
I
prediction.
didn't, I
aged
didn't
like
totally
milk.
think it was
Where you're
coming.
like, oh, this is the most boring like fight of the season. No, this is
Yeah,
hype.
no, I'll hold the L on that one. I'll happily hold the L there.
Oh, he said the thing.
Nice.
Hit him in the back of the head. Let's go.
Ah, yeah!
Ooh.
Okay.
Cool perspective shot.
Crab basket. He said the
They just
thing.
tore the bridge down.
Yeah, he's
Oh
opening
my
packs.
God.
Go.
Oh my
Let's go.
Oh, that's.
He's using the
best.
gun.
Oh,
This,
Go.
this is awesome.
That's neat.
This is neat.
yo, like the
Yo.
GT. That's hype.
Swear to God, if they don't do that for Yugi, I'ma have words.
Oh, whoa, that was cool. What the fuck?
Ooh, that's
Holy
cool.
shit. I love how they're playing
This
with
is
Silver's
cool.
telekinesis.
Bring the key sword.
He still hasn't gone God.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna work on him.
Blade.
That ain't gonna work on him.
Oh, my
It
heart is
actually looks like
racing.
Silver might be winning.
Silver!
What the fuck?
Oh shit! What's happening?
It's become a Living Tombstone FNAF song edit.
Yo.
What the fuck?
Yes, let's go.
Oh, this is so cool. Oh, this is so
I know what I
cool.
wanted.
Oh my god.
That's cool.
This is so cool.
This is sick.
Nah.
Bye bye, Silver.
Oh, this
This is fucking sick, though.
is actually so sick.
Oh shit!
Wait, no.
Wait,
I can't.
Yeah, let's go. It won't work on him. Silver, let's bring it back.
No fucking way!
Let's go.
Silver.
Yes, come on.
No, let's go. He did it.
Oh,
Did he do it? Did he do it? Did he do
Let's
it?
go, Silver!
let's
Oh
go.
my god! Me, I'm wrong.
Oh my god. A Sonic character
That's
just beat a
fucking-
Let's
dragon.
go.
That's insane.
I knew
That-
it. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Larry.
That was so hype.
I'm sorry, Larry.
that- no matter who won, that was such a good animation.
All right,
That was pretty.
DJ and the rest of the team, y'all enjoy the calm before the storm. This is about to be, y'all are about to go through hell for this one.
This is the first time a death battle has left my heart racing, and I'm slightly embarrassed to admit that.
No, I'm right there with you.
Silver won. What?
I knew he would.
Here's the sprite animations where he got shit on. Silver got a victory. I'm so proud of him.
People are gonna be
Even if he's
mad.
not
Oh,
universe
this
version.
means Dragon Ball's back on a losing, like a proper losing streak. Oh no.
They're gonna be furious.
This is so weird.
Oh my god, he won.
Silver?
I'm
Y'all said that he won it.
That part was so cool.
I said from the very start, Silver got this.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they pulled out all the stops for Archie here when Wally was so different. I don't know.
Archie is fucking massive.
Hearing all this is kind of retroactively making me like Wally versus Sonic less, just because I wish they went into this. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is here and now, and Silver just took a fat W.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Is he?
no.
SpongeBob! SpongeBob!
Oh shit!
Oh!
Oh my
I don't care. SpongeBob!